Nick, I understand that there is a conference going on for Kentucky Rural Water, and I'm trying for the life of me to remember who runs that organization. Is a guy named Jerry Larimore?
No. It's Larry Larimore.
Larry Larimore. Larry.
Good old Larry.
Oh, the water boy. That's who
right.
it is.
That's it.
Larry,
The water
boy. Yeah, I remember that. He's been around for a while. That Kentucky Rural Water, what do they do?
Something about getting water to homes. That's all I know.
You mean water to homes, like, in the tap and all that
I
stuff?
think so.
Yeah. Well, you know that Larry guy.
Yeah.
He's got a wine cooler in his basement.
Does he keep some expensive bottles of wine in there?
No, he's full of bottled water like Desante and Perrier and Evian and all that stuff.
Even maybe his favorite Aquafina?
Oh, that is definitely his favorite. He calls that his tap water because it's an IPA tap water. I prefer Aquafina.
That's Gary.
Oh.
I knew it. I knew there was something funny behind him.
But anyway, so he's he does it. I don't know what his members would do if they ever found out about that wine cooler.
Better not check out his basement.
No, but you know what they ought to check out? He's quite an athlete.
He's a golfer too.
Is he?
Yeah. He is a darn good golfer. Now, maybe not when he starts, when he's sober. I mean, when he's sober, he's about a 12 handicapper. But I tell you what, he gets better with every passing beer. And by the time he finishes the round, he's a scratch golfer.
So
you've never seen anything like it.
You want to take 2 6-packs when you play with him every time. Take him from a 12 to a 0 every time.
Yeah. And if you're playing with him, you want to play on his team on the back side, not the front side.
That's true. So anyway, but somebody told me this Kentucky Rural Water's been around for a while.
40 years, I think.
Oh, I think it's been there longer than that. Well, I read about it the other day in the Bible.
Huh.
If you look into the first chapter of Genesis, it says, on the first day God created heaven and earth. And then it says on the second day God created Vernon Brown. And he said, let there be water.
It all makes sense now. I get it now.
It does. So, but if Kentucky Rural Water's been around for 40 years and that Larry guy has been in charge for 40 years, boy, he must have sold his soul to somebody to stay in that position that long.
No.
You think he sold his soul to the devil?
No. We're talking about Larry Larimore here, not David Peterson.
Oh, okay.
Keep it to Larry. Keep
All
it to Larry Larimore.
All right, I understand now. So he's, but he's been down there for 40 years, but he couldn't have done it by himself.
No.
He's got to have had some. Didn't he have a little guy running around with a cigar? Not
and a
Groucho
beard,
Marx. Yeah.
Beard, Andy Lange.
Yeah, Andy Lange. That's right.
Yeah.
And he's had those other people down there. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. That Bobby guy?
Bobby Shenanigans.
Bobby Shenanigans. Okay, all right. And Bobby and Pam and Donna and they've all been down there, keeping that whole place running. Thank goodness, because I'm not sure Larry, the water boy, could do it.
And regardless what they say about him, I think he's a pretty nice guy. I mean, we hear otherwise, but I'd say he's pretty darn good.
I think so. So,
Gary, we're very happy to have known you for as long as we have, and for me, it's been 20 years. I was in diapers when you started at Kentucky Rural Water, and I met you 20 years ago when you first played that practical joke on me, which I still won't forget. But we really value the relationship and all the services that we've helped you bring to your members, and just all the good things that Kentucky Rural Water does. We're happy to be a part of it and happy to have known you for all these years.
Gary, I've been practicing law, as you know, for 40 years, and you've been right there along my side the whole time. And I guarantee you and I and Randy have all laid a bunch of water lines around this state and provided water to a lot of deserving people in the Commonwealth, and your members have done a great job of making Kentucky Rural Water one of the premier rural water associations in this country. And so we just congratulate you and all your friends there at Kentucky Rural Water, and glad to know that you're there for 40 years and look forward to another 40. So, but
that's enough, Charlie. We got to get back to what we're doing here. We can't spend all day doing it.
Oh yeah, you're right. We do got to get back to what we were doing before we started this thing. So,
and we got a tea time here at 11.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we'll see you all
Cheers,
later.
Gary.
Gary number 1. Hey, Gary number 2 here. Wow, 40 years. How time flies. Man, we go way back. back to the 1980s. And man, I recall that time that you caused a ruckus up in Montana, at the Huntley Lodge on the mountain. And I'm sure you're going to say, I don't recall it the same way. And that is the good political answer always. And I will tell you that as old as you and I are, probably can get away with by saying, I don't recall. Anyway, 40 years with Kentucky Rural Water, and that's fantastic. I wonder, does your membership really know how little you've done for them in 40 years? Just kidding. Even though I know this is supposed to be a roast, I can't even say that with a straight face. You've done a great job at Kentucky Rural Water for your members. You've fostered a great culture and a great leadership for the members. You've provided a lot of great programs and a lot of great services for the water utilities in Kentucky and across the nation, as we have all probably stole ideas from you. I do know also you've made one giant good decision. You have fostered a great board and you have hired a great staff. And with the Gary limitations that we both have, I know we both realized probably early back in the 1980s that the key to success was to hire a good staff, have a good mission, enable them to do their jobs, and then get out of the way. I know I learned that and have tried to practice that. In the last 40 years, probably the very best thing you've done is to find Rita. I know my late wife used to say, man, that's a great couple. Hey, the other thing I want to mention to you is that, I know we talked about this, and I want you to stay at Kentucky Rural Water and keep helping the water utilities in Kentucky as long as possible. But after you retire, I know you agreed to move to Florida like most retired people do. And I know you're going to come down and you're going to replace me, and then the Florida utilities will be able to experience some great things and you'll be able to help them out like you did in Kentucky. Or have done, are doing, and will do. Anyway, congrats, buddy, and hang in there, keep doing the good work, and staying out of the way.
Hey Gary, this is Dale out in Utah. I'd like to thank all you folks there in Kentucky and everyone for allowing me to be a little bit of a part of this celebration of Gary Larimore's 40 years of service to Kentucky Rural Water. I was trying to think back, Gary, how long we've known each other, and certainly been a good part of those 40 years. I know we were introduced by Mr. Donahue. I'm thinking at a meeting in Las Vegas, but it's been a long time. Not the whole 40 years, however. Before we go too far, I just want you to know that having some of us fellow executive directors speak to you at this function electronically was Andy's idea. And now that I've thrown him under the bus, Andy, you might want to start brushing up on your resume a little bit, because Lord knows what may be said. Anyway, 40 years, that's quite amazing. I was doing some math and I started to wonder, Gary, just how old are you anyway? I mean, 40 years of one job? And I know maybe you did something before that. So I'm wondering if you've been entirely truthful to us on just how old you really are. And kind of makes me wonder too, does Rita know how old you are? And I was thinking about that. I then realized that Rita has been running around out there on daytime television, so she probably doesn't care. Anyway, 40 years in one job makes me wonder about you a little bit. It seems to me that shows a decided lack of imagination and initiative and ambition. I mean, good Lord, I've had 3 careers in the last 40 years. Of course, that might say something about my inability to hold a job too, but anyway, it's quite an accomplishment to hang in there in one career for 40 years. Some of y'all may not know this, because you live in Kentucky, so you don't have the problems that Gary and I have with this little language barrier. Having grown up in the West, and Gary, of course, being a Kentucky boy, he tends to use some terminology and to say things a little bit differently than some of us elsewhere do. He and I have always struggled with that. We're trying hard to overcome it. Probably will never get done. I've tried to better my ability to listen. And Gary has worked on what he calls nunciating. Hasn't helped. And where I've really noticed it gets bad is if you get a couple of drops of alcohol in the boy, his nunciation just gets worse. Anyway, we'll overcome it. Even when we don't understand each other, we still talk to each other. I think that's a good thing. Anyway, with all that said, and in total jest, in all seriousness, Gary, proud to be your friend. Pleased and honored to be a part of this celebration. And, there's a lot of us that admire what you've done with your association there in Kentucky, good, bad, or indifferent. You have been held up as somewhat of an icon for us to follow. It's a little frightening, but your friendship and what you've done with Kentucky has been just something to be admired. And we do admire you, and we do enjoy your friendship and your companionship. And, by and large, we've stayed out of trouble through the years, by and large. Anyway, thanks a lot. Enjoy your 40th. Have a good celebration. Talk to you later, man. Bye.
Congratulations, Gary Larimore. Gee, it seems I've known you all my life. In fact, I think I've watched you grow up. And what a pleasure that has been to watch our Kentucky Rural Water Association flourish, expand, serve more rural residents under your leadership. You've done a tremendous job in ensuring that our rural folks have safe, clean water. And what a contribution and what a statement for your life's work. It has been amazing working with you, and I look forward to doing more of that in the next couple of years. Thank you for everything that you have done and your partnership with USDA Rural Development here in Kentucky, and thank you for a lifetime of service. Congratulations on 40 years with Rural Water Association of Kentucky.
40 years, Gary Larimore, congratulations. It's hard to believe it's been 40 years. I've only known you about 30 of those years, but they said they was going to honor you in a roast. I'm going to try to keep it clean, but it might be hard, but I do know that, you do the same for me. The one thing I will say, Gary, you've been a tremendous leader with rural water, representing them on the national with different committees, legislative committees and different things, but I really can't say anything, that story about you, because it always goes a little south. I know there's a lot of people watching tonight on screen at your conference, but I just want to say one thing. You've actually done a great job, in my opinion. Excuse me. See, that was even hard to say about you, Gary. It's hard to say real nice things sometimes, but no, you've been a true leader, and Kentucky Rural Water is very fortunate to have you for 40 years. So congratulations, and continue on. And you owe me 337 beers now that you're behind on. Thanks, and again, congratulations.
Hello, Gary. Congratulations on your 40 years of service with Kentucky Rural Water Association. Your leadership and commitment to that organization is truly admirable. And from a colleague in neighboring Indiana, I want to personally thank you for your mentorship, your guidance, and your wisdom that you have shared with me. My very best to you, dear friend. Now, enjoy this celebration. You deserve it.
Booyah, Larry Larimore. Congratulations on a fabulous 5 years. Hold on, Kristen. Is this roast for Larry? Or is it that Gary Larimore guy at Kentucky Rural Water?
It's so damn cheesy, I can't do it.
Seriously, Gary, congratulations on a fabulous 40 years at Kentucky Rural Water. It's been an incredible journey. It's been a lot of fun along the way. We're not going to tell all those compromising stories. We've been told to keep it G, so remember that, Kristen.
Seriously, Gary, congratulations. It's been so much fun, and it's been a joy working with you and with Kentucky Rural Water. Congratulations on so many years of accomplishments with Kentucky Utilities. And unlike Nick, it's been 20 years for me too, but I'm not going to mention the diaper comment.
Hey Gary, congratulations on 40 years to Kentucky Rural Water and NRWA. I wish I could be there to personally congratulate you and to say thank you for your leadership of Kentucky Rural Water and your leadership role on a national basis. For those who don't know, you talk quite a bit, and we've had hours and hours and hours of conversation. You're my mentor and have been since I got involved with Rural Water. Well, let me back up. I've listened for hours and hours and hours, and I've appreciated every minute of it. And I appreciate your leadership role on the national level. And for those who don't know, Gary has been recognized for his role in meeting with high-level agency people. I remember one time Gary was meeting with the administrator of EPA, and it was a long board table, and Gary stood up to make a real good point, but halfway through, he had a brain freeze, and he couldn't remember what he was going to say. So it adjusted because he has those skills, and he just said, oh, hell, forget it. So he is the only executive director who's received an award from his peers, the Oh Hell Award, the only one of its kind. Gary, congratulations, enjoy your evening, and we have some other cohorts that want to congratulate you as well.